Oh, it is recording. Hey, everybody, every guys, as I was gonna say, because I wanted to say hey guys and hey everybody. I'm gonna talk about everybody's favorite topic today. Perfect. And that topic, of course, is politics, because everybody loves politics. Nobody can get enough of it, right? Well, I'm gonna be sitting here telling you why politics should be in every single movie, video game, and book. I'm of course kidding. No, a lot of people would have a lot of oh, in this game, 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 and like all these examples and cut in footage. Listen, I'm poor. I know next to nothing about video editing. Actually, let's say that I don't know anything because I don't. So let me just kind of just tell you what I think, and let me just you know yeah. So, and here's the thing: is I'm going to be making a lot of points, and a lot of those points are probably going to piss a lot of people off. Now, this video is not intended to be hurtful. This video is not intended to make anyone feel bad. This video is just intended to say, here's my thoughts, here's what I think, and here's the problems I see. Okay? So, let's actually start with a game I'm playing right now. That is Call of Duty Cold War. Now, Call of Duty Cold War, aside from being a steaming ball of garbage and barely running on my original Xbox One, yes, I have an original Xbox One. I'm not going to upgrade to anything else because I just don't see the point with the new Xbox out, but be unable to purchase it because they're not making any. Yeah. So, I think it's incredibly racist to have zombies. I think we should switch to ghouls because zombie kind of just had the short end of the stick. I'm kidding. Um, So in Call of Duty Cold War, the campaign has made a interesting choice, and I understand why they did it. Okay, and I'm gonna explain both sides of this argument, and hopefully at the end of this discussion, it won't be Jeremy's a meanie head, or probably more like I'm a jackass who's whatever ist you want to say. Instead, you're gonna say understand why you're saying things you are, and I understand even if you don't agree. Because at the end of the day, the way politics should work is don't discuss it at the dinner table. Don't discuss it at all. It should be buried in a hole in the backyard along with Aunt May's corpse. We don't talk about because we all hated her and no one wanted to pay for the funeral costs. Anyways, so in the campaign, the choice was made that you get to build your character. Well, this is fine. It's not an RPG. It's an interesting choice because I don't think Call of Duty's ever done that, as far as I know. Maybe they did in Modern Warfare. I not played the Modern Warfare 2019, I think it is yet. Well, probably ever. But there you get three choices. Three choices. The three choices are, and by the way, before anyone can say it, if they ever want to say it, no, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not offended. I'm not butthurt about it. I'm not sitting here like, no. I'm merely saying the choices made in the campaign don't make sense, and I'm going to explain why finally. So you get three choices. Male, of course. Female, of course, and non-binary. Okay. There's a few problems with that. So, Call of Duty Cold War is... And there's more problems than just... You just don't like the non-binary people. You don't understand them. I never said I don't like them. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? So there's a few more problems than actually just that. Like I said, this is probably going to make a few people pissy, so sorry. So the fact of the matter is, I think Cold War is set in the 80s, which was non-binary a thing back then. Probably less than most would think, because back then there was less credence paid to these sorts of theories. Right? So first of all, you might not like it. You probably won't like it, but you would not be allowed to serve in the military if you had that sort of mindset, right? The military, even up until today, well, as opposed to just recently with the new regime, has not really looked favorably upon that. Right or wrong, it's just how it is. Okay? So to be I'm basically like special ops, CIA kind of group, you would not have non-binary people in there. You just wouldn't, right? And I know, but we're going to get to the whole, video games don't have to be a direct representation of reality because, you can't actually take multiple gunshot wounds, which, yes, you can actually. Gunshot wounds in movies are actually, in TV shows are actually horrifically ill portrayed. There's also a little problem with you being a woman in Vietnam. That in the fact that, well, yes, there were female nurses in Vietnam. We all know women were nurses, so they technically were involved in the conflict, even though they didn't do any fighting. So there's that. But, so in one of the, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but at one of the points you're in Vietnam, right? So before anything is said, if people watch this video and they're going down in the comment sections to be like, well, actually, Jeremy, there were females in the CIA. There are female spies. Yes, there have been. Female spies are actually really good. The problem is you probably typically would not send them into the active Vietnamese war zone. Because that's a little obvious. Right, a lot of times female spies, I'm not a spy expert, but a lot of times I don't think they're going to be put in that situation. The rest of the campaign would be fine, right? I have a problem with Vietnam because of the fact that since it is more of like it's portrayed as like a, actual like battle zone, they most likely would have sent, they might have had, if your character was a woman, they might have had you involved in like, communications, making sure everything was where it was supposed to be, that sort of thing, but you probably would not be dropped right into the middle of combat. Why? Because it's just not what happened. I think, honestly, women in the armed services, I don't know what year it happened, but it's a relatively still kind of new thing. Like, I mean, I guess it is 2021. Hell, I don't even know what year it is anymore.
Yep,
it just doesn't matter. We're all going to die soon anyways. Let the infinite void take us. But, and I know that's the whole thing is going to be, well, okay, so the next part of the topic. Kaylee's holding the camera.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Because I don't have a stand. Sorry. But, so, okay, there's also a thing with, like, women in Battlefield 5. I'm not going to get too deep into this. There are a lot of good videos from people who have talked about how women... So the term stolen valor, it is generally in very, very poor taste to say that you served if you never served. It's called stolen valor, and it can land you in a heap of trouble. Not legally, mind you, but you might get your ass kicked. Okay? So, some people have actually equated it to stolen valor to say, well, women, since they were in field hospitals, which they were, and yes, the Soviets did field women, because the Soviets were literally about to be annihilated by the Nazis, or the Germans. You can't say the N-word. Okay, the Germans. Piss off. Seriously, piss off. It's a word from a war that happened, God, over 80 years ago at this frickin' point. Get over it. That regime is long dead. That regime did not last very long. So if anyone wants to get butthurt because they don't like that N-word, grow up. Anyways. So Battlefield 5 had women in it. So, okay. Well, here's the problem with that, sweetheart, is women were not typically in active combat roles. Aside from the Soviet Union, which was literally one of the only countries to field them in any major capacity. They were not fielded in a very major capacity either. Okay, yes, did women serve in the militaries? Sure. Did they play a major role? I want to make this.
Not really.
I want to make this very clear. No, they didn't. I understand the whole thing is that, every woman wants to hear that, her great grandmother was at, the Pacific Theater and she was in danger of being overrun by the Japanese. Okay, you know what? Yes, possibly. But did your grandmama Did she pick up an M1 Garand or Garand, however the heck you want to say it, and go shoot some Japanese? No, then shut up. Okay? And the reason I'm getting so pissed is that actually one of the points of this video, politics are extremely corrosive. Okay? So take a game like Call of Duty World at War, right? So one of the best in like the last true Call of Duty in the World War II genre, right? Or like the World War II setting. Okay? So Call of Duty World at War was brutal. But here's the thing, kiddo. Do you know what World War II was? Brutal. Yeah, you're right. So, you know, I think it was 02, and I've never played Call of Duty World War II because I don't care enough. But the problem is, you know, everybody wants to be included, right? Well, and there's also a thing, too, where, you know, yes, video games are not a mirror of reality very much. Sometimes, honestly, not at all. Okay? But if you see a woman running around in a World War II game, or a game set in World War II, it really is going to take you out of the moment. You're going to be like, yo, why is that woman out here? You know? And the problem is you have two camps. You have the camp of people who are going to say, okay, look, we get the fact that you're not using weapons from a certain battlefield. You're not using weapons. You know, you might have an American soldier running around with an STG-44, even though that probably wouldn't make much sense unless it was captured, and even then. But there is also core pieces of history that you can't really get around, right? So if you're playing World War II, right, and all of a sudden you hear AC-130 gunship above, you're going to be like, they didn't have those in World War II. What the heck? And it's like, and then someone might say, well, but this isn't a complete, like, one-to-one reality. And, you know, it sounds stupid, right? It sounds stupid. Because it is. You know what I'm going to say this? The only reason, in Battlefield 5, honestly, I've not heard, like, one good thing about it. No, and luckily, I never bought the game. Luckily, I was like, you know what? I've heard literally nothing good, so I'm not going to waste my money. You know why I bought Battlefield 1, by the way? It's because I got it for $8. But, you know, there is stuff grounded in reality. And the reality is, and I think a lot of people are upset by this, is that women were not in World War II. And a lot of people have even said it's like stolen valor. You know, in bold claim. Okay? Like, you don't lightly say that you... And don't ever walk up to someone dressed in service members like, are you stolen valor? Also, never ever ask some person in the military if they've killed anyone. Chances are, yes, they have. Better chances are they don't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. The problem is, though, too, the only reason, like I think I said, the only reason women were involved or were in Battlefield 5 is because someone's like, well, you know, we got to include the women's. You know, we got to include those women folk. We don't include them, they're going to be a conniption fit by the feminists. You know, like you know, some fat frickin' executive smoking a cigar. And no, and it would piss a lot of women off because, well, why aren't we included? It's like because you weren't involved, right? But it's politics. You know, you think about, I'm trying to think of any other games that I have, right? Where, well, and I'll actually, you know what? I'm going to say this. So there's a game that a lot of people don't like that I think is the best in the series, and that actually could be a video on its own. Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 is set in Montana, I think basically around the year... It would be before the year 2020, but it would be pretty dang recent, right? So, you know, in Montana, there's rednecks, right? Well, yeah, them rednecks love Trump, don't they? You know, they love Trump. But, so in the game, there's a mission called Make Montana Great Again. Which, I know, if you're scared of the scary orange man, you might need to go bite your safety pillow and curl up in your favorite blanket and go listen to Bernie. But, you know, if you're still here, the adults are still talking, okay? You know, if you're still like, well, I'm 16 and I know some things. Shut up. You don't know anything. I'm 22 and still learning, okay? The older you get, the more knowledge you get, the more you realize you don't know shit, okay? Anyways, there is a mission called Make Montana Great Again, and it's basically, you know, this stereotypical Trump voting redneck guy who is, you know, talking about, you know, how they're going to make Montana great again and how they're going to build an ice wall in between. Like, they're going to build an ice wall on the border of U.S. and Canada, and then they're going to move it until the Canada's the U.S., right? Well, I thought you don't like politics. No, I don't, but that's actually legitimately kind of funny. But you know why? It's because it's dealt with in a way. It's more of a, like a jab. You know, it's more of a jab. As opposed to, like, you know, you can jab fun at something, and then there's, like, taking a freaking 2x4, putting bolts in it, and, like, launching it from a trebuchet at someone and saying, "Oh, I've achieved comedy because I can make the easiest of jokes," which is just to make fun of someone, right? No, but the mission itself is funny. If you, in ASO 2, you can put politics in games. You shouldn't. You can, though, if it's dealt with properly, right? Well, actually, no, you can't. You just shouldn't. And the reason I'm making this video is because there's a movement to, like, really heavily make sure everyone is involved in gaming, in movies, and everything, right? To the point of you have controversies around, wasn't Resident Evil 5 that, you know, it's set in Africa, and there's all these people saying, well, it's racist because you're shooting black zombies. And it was funny because I literally, there was this black guy, I don't know his name, you know, well, they all look the same to you. You know, and you hear that second voice, that's just the second voice in my head because I have to compensate for people being stupid and trying to, you know, say that kind of thing. So I have a little secondary voice in my head that I answer questions to. I don't hear the voice, it's just, it's kind of like the voice of nagging doubt, but it's more the voice of, well, some idiot could construe it this way, so I'm going to preemptively strike back. But, so in Resident Evil 5, you know, like I said, you know, people are like, well, it's racist because you're shooting black zombies. This black guy was like, the game's set in Africa. People will be saying it's racist if you're shooting white zombies. And it's like, exactly. Like, that's exactly the point. Like, you know, there's nothing racist about it, you know? And the big thing, too, and I'm going to make a bold statement, because big, bold statements only on this channel, is whenever, you can't include everyone, right? So sometimes you shouldn't. Let me make an example, right? Let's say that someone makes a game about Florence Nightingale and nursing and the early days of nursing, right? Like a little, like kind of like an interactive game where, like, you know, it tells the story and it can make it interesting to people who don't really know it. Hey, Kaylee, how many male nurses should be involved? Granted, I know next to nothing about nursing history.
Not very many.
Right, and if there's supposed to be many, let's come with a better example. Okay. Let's, okay, so let's make a game, Kaylee. Oh, okay, help me out here. Okay, let's make a game set in Russia called Metro. Kaylee, did you see any black people in Metro? Was Metro racist?
No.
Why?
How many black people do you see if you go walk through the streets in Russia?
Yeah. That is the ticket, right? If you have a game set in Africa, what should the majority of your population, the population of NPCs be? NPCs being non-playable characters. So basically, like,
black. Yeah,
this should mostly be black, right? What about a game set in Korea? What should they mostly be?
Asian.
Yeah. A game set in 16th century Europe.
White.
Okay, if there's a black person, what are they probably going to be?
A slave.
Oh my gosh, but that might hurt someone's feelings. Doesn't matter. Okay.
Quit being such a sensitive little pansy.
Okay, you know what? And thing is, though, too, I would understand if in the game they were being, like, if in the game it was very much portrayed as, you know, the whites are the superior race kind of thing. But if I'm playing a game, right? If I'm playing a game set in post-apocalyptic Russia, I want to see Slavs. You know why I want to see Slavs? Because Slav women are freaking fine.
And Norwegian.
Dude, well, the Vikings. There's that joke. Why are Norwegian women so hot? The Vikings didn't bring back the ugly ones.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that's offensive, you need to change your diaper and go back to nap time because the adults are still talking, right? The thing is, though, too, it's like, well, you are very, very, very rude. Oh, I'm sorry, I have autism. Are you ableist? I can play the game, too. I really can. I know I'm looking at the wrong point of the camera because the camera's right here, and I'm looking there because I'm looking at myself. If that bothers anyone, you can if you send a carrier pigeon, I will make sure to try and fix it. But it has to be by carrier pigeon because I don't care otherwise. By the way, you're not getting your carrier pigeon back.
Kind of is ruined for me.
Well, it's ruined for me too.
Because, like, honestly, the songs are brilliant. Everything about it is brilliant.
Except for it's a musical. Musicals are fucking terrible.
Okay, I liked the music, okay? Be mad at me for that.
Divorce.
But literally, it was all... Like, everyone, all the characters should have been white.
Yes.
Like, I know they would have said, oh, they're whitewashing their... No.
It's not whitewashing history if that's what actually happened.
Yeah, historically, they all would have been white.
Well, that's because America was founded on racism. Hey, sweetheart, open a history book.
The beanie really pissed me off, not gonna lie.
Right, and
they had a character wearing a beanie. That's not...
It's like, you know what? I'm going to say this. History is full of things that we don't like. You know what I don't like? I don't like the Japanese torturing and murdering U.S. POWs.
In Unit...
I think it was 731.
That's what I was thinking, 731.
No, I really don't like people being captured and tortured, but hey, you know what? Yeah, the U.S. war crimes are really bad, though. Yeah, that nuke that killed a lot of people, but like over 2 million people were projected to die in the invasion. Yeah, I read comments. I weep for our humanity. We should have all died years ago. But that's the thing, right? Is, well, everyone wants to be included, but you don't have to be, right? I was reading a book one time about the war, and I think it was, I don't know where Fallujah is, but it was about U.S. service members in Fallujah, right? You know what they all were? They were all black. Basically, all the characters in the book were black. Now, being as I'm a reasonable person and not prone to being a pussy, what do you think I did? Your options are, A, read the damn book and enjoyed it, even though my kind wasn't included. You think B, was like, I don't see people in my color, so I'm not reading it. Or C, started a totalitarian dictatorship.
1, read the book and did not complain.
Right. You can enjoy media that does not directly represent you. And the problem, and like I said, and so many people made this kind of video, politics are so corrosive. So if you've ever heard of the company called Rooster Teeth, right? So Rooster Teeth, how long am I at? 24? You know what? Actually, the longer the video is, the better it is for the algorithm. So, yeah, it is actually. YouTube.
Nobody wants to watch more than half an hour video.
No, but it's good for the algorithm. Longer videos get recommended more. But
I try not to have our videos longer than like 45 minutes.
I hate you.
Well, you can do like a part 2.
Okay.
Like this one's more along the lines of games, and we can do one of like how political TV shows are.
What was I referencing though? I'm sorry. I always lose my train of thought.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Damn it, Kaylee. I rely on you for these things.
I know you do, but I'm like falling asleep.
Of course you are.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come back to me at the most inopportune of times. Damn it. See, this is what editing software is for, is because then you're going to forget stuff.
I can see if I can edit this part out.
Can you?
I can see.
Okay. Like, what was I talking about? I was reading a book.
Yeah, and most of the characters are black, and you didn't get mad because you're not a pussy bitch.
I suppose. But, God, this is why I never post anything, because it's always so freaking terrible.
It's not terrible.
You know, I get, I was basically saying, you know, you hear this all the time, that, like, these kind of same comments, but, oh, God, I literally just feel like I, lost 99% of all my brain cells.
You're okay, baby. Think about other examples you want to give, like games that were either like not accurate in their usage of.
Well, I'll say this, Far Cry has actually been pretty good at that. So, okay, so in the game Far Cry 2, which is a great game for about 20 minutes, and then you die for the 30th time, and you're like, screw this, and you rage quit, thus breaking your 16th controller. There are actually both black and white people. Now, there's a reason for this. Most civilians have evacuated. You are a mercenary. Mercenaries come in all shapes and sizes. Right? Okay. Far Cry 3. The people of the island you're fighting against, they're pirates. Okay? So they're black, white, whatever. Pacific Islander, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay? Far Cry 4. They're from Kyrat, which is a fictional country near Nepal. So they're, like, what would you call that? They're
Asian?
Yeah, they'd be Asian. Right? And the thing is, though, like, with, like... And I said, like, with games like Call of Duty, you know, the thing is, though, too... A lot of people are like, you know, history is really racist. Oh, yeah, it is. History's terrible, dude. Crack open a history book. History's awful. But then again, you can either bitch about it, or realize that it happened, what's that, in the past? Well, what about herstory? Herstory is a null and void statement. I'm about to drop some knowledge on y'all. History, for the uninitiated, is, I think, Greek it's derived from the Greek word historia, which has nothing to do with his story. Okay? Because, okay, the story of the USS Samuel B. Roberts. Okay? The story of any ship. You know what they're mostly what most ships, which there's a lot of ships that have history written about them. You know what most ships are referred to as?
Female.
You know what most guns are referred to as?
Female.
You know what most any vehicle is referred to as?
Female.
Yeah, no, okay, but still. History, the thing is, though, too, is like history is filled with a lot of gnarly, nasty things. The point, though, is you just don't be, like, offended by it. Learn from it, and learn to, instead of being like, well, that was bad. No, that was bad. Congratulations, toddlers can come to that conclusion. Why? Why did it happen? Why is it bad? And is it worth your time to be offended about? You know, I will say this: my biggest problem with games like Call of Duty is they used to legitimately be fun games, right? Like Black Ops 2 was really fun. World at War, you know, it was full of, you know, it was full of situations that were fun. But the problem is, in this modern era, everyone has to be included, even though it doesn't make sense, right? Like, you talk about Metro, okay, why are they all white people? Because they're Slavs. Slavs are pasty. Okay? The Witcher got in trouble because, you know, where's all the brown people? Okay, well, it's based off Polish mythology. You could probably count on one hand, like, actually not even probably, like, you know, how many times black people were included in Polish mythology. And if you're a Polish mythology, like, study it for years, you're like, actually, congratulations, you're one of 5 people who can say that. Okay? So, you know what? It is possible to enjoy things And you know what? It's possible to enjoy things that you can't see yourself directly in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. With something like a Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, I get it. You know what? Yes, it's set in a arena that you could have a woman be your character. You could have a man be your character. Probably not non-binary because, like I said, they would not have allowed that person to enter the military. Again, if your immediate thought is, well, that's not okay. Remember, it happened in the past. Ponder to yourself why that might have been the case, and instead of just saying they were racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever ist you can come up with, think, okay, you know, why was it the case, and what never should have happened. Well, I mean, there's actually really good theories as to, whether or not there are people who should and should not serve in the military or law enforcement. Yeah, and I know that's not okay. You know what? But the world does not revolve around what is okay. The world revolves around what is. And sadly, most people have lost track of what is, and they really wish they could have the what they wish it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's been about half an hour of complaining, and probably no one gives a shit, and everyone's gonna be like,
"Oh, people give a shit, hon."
I'll leave you with this. I'm the kind of person who's gonna tell it how it is. And I will tell you this is how it is. There should only... When you write a story, when you make a game, when you do anything, if you're making something, it should reflect reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If I'm booting up, World War II simulator, I don't want to see women.
Mm-hmm.
You should not have black people serving alongside white people. Do you know why? It's not because I'm a racist.
Because there weren't very many that served.
Well, actually, there were a number of black people who did serve. They just weren't allowed to serve alongside white people.
Yeah.
Because, you know why? Do you want to know why? And this is a white person say this. Because people were racist back then. Yeah. Cry about it. You have to cry about it because you know that I'm right, that they were, but there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you could have done about it. If you're writing anything, have reality built into it. It should not be a situation where reality is sacrificed to make a quota box, to make something work. Most stories, you know what? You can have the black character. You can have the gay or trans character. But make it mean something, right? In so many of today's things, you have the obligatory, I'm a transgender, and that is my character. And that does a huge disservice to people who are actually that way. It's like, there's one thing to check a diversity box. It's another thing to actually give someone who has that depth, and how does that affect them, right? Because, okay, if John Doe's gay, well, how does that affect him? Well, he likes men. Well, I got that from the fact that he's gay, but how does that affect his character? Oh, he has a boyfriend. Okay, but what does he do? Well, he dates guys. Or he makes out with other guys. If you're going to write a story and you're going to put a character in that has certain details about him, right? Okay. Make it worth something. Don't just sit there and say, well, checked off that box, and that's what everyone else is content to do.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wants to see a piece of them in something. I get that. But you won't always. You can't.
You just gotta get over it.
Like, am I upset that in Metro 2033 there are no Christians? Am I upset? Well, no, I'm not upset by that. But am I upset by the fact that every day, in most comedies, Christians are shown as being dumbasses or bigots or something? Yeah, it bothers me. But I don't go do? I don't go out on Twitter and be like, oh yeah, you know what? On my Facebook page there are rants about it. They are well earned though. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I will also say this, is if you think it's funny that I'm a Christian, I implore you to go up to